And we are live. This is Christian DeMatteo, taking off my glasses so you don't realize I'm Clark Kent. Christian DeMatteo. I am the co-founder of FugitivePoems.com. This is The Art Will Not Be Changing. I almost forgot the awesome name of our show. The Art Will Not Be Changing, episode 8. And we usually don't do them this close together, nor do we usually have the same guests on twice in a row. But we've got Kenneth Fontano with us tonight, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Kenneth Fontano famously is drawing albino Satanists in heat for me, which I have to say every time. But he's got a whole lot of other stuff going on, so we're going to talk that. But before that, I have the most important guest to introduce. Chandler has not made an appearance on this show yet, but you've probably seen her on Instagram. This is Chandler Kidd, our social media master. Hello, Chandler. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. Nice to see you, and I guess kind of see everybody. Can't really see.
Well, I mean, you've become Instagram famous for Fugitive Poems. You've become the face of Fugitive Poems.
I should have worn my sash or something.
I was previously the face, and this is a huge monumental improvement. So why don't you tell the audience, how did you get involved with a couple of crusty old degenerates like me and James and Mark?
I mean, I'm kind of a crusty degenerate myself. I was at a tattoo convention in Westchester, I believe, around October, and I was helping my friend, who's a tattoo artist, assist them at their booth, and somebody came by carrying a Fugitive Poems book. I was like, wait, that's sick. I love books. Where'd you get that? And they're like, yeah, around there, like around the corner. So I walk over there and I introduce myself, and I met Christian and everybody else. I was like, hey, what's going on? And then I think I made a few jokes, and then, yeah, somehow got wrapped up into doing the social media with you all after I was like, yeah, I work in publishing and do all these different things. So here we are. But it's actually really nice to be here because I love all things like horror and weird and dark and spooky. So it seems like a good fit, and happy to be here.
100%. We are beyond happy to have you with us. And there's James tuning in saying, hey, people. Yeah, no, Chandler, you have been an incredible boon to our team. We love having you. And you're an awesome person. You're fun. So thank you. And feel free. You're part of the show tonight. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to chime in on.
Hell yeah.
So I'm going to bring in our guest now. First of all, we have got the inimitable, just because I like saying that word, inimitable, Kenneth Fontano. Hello, Kenneth.
Hey,
how are you?
What's going on, guys? Good to be here.
In a row.
I can't get enough.
Nor can we get enough of you. And Kenneth is the artist on the project we're going to be talking about today with Timmy Main and Misha.
Hey. How's it going?
This project was actually written by that young lady right there. Timmy, welcome to the show. And
thank you for having me.
We've got Derek Colt. Hello, Derek. How are you doing?
What's up, guys? Good, great.
So why the hell are these fine gentlemen here? Well, the answer is that coming shortly to see you later, Misha. Coming shortly to Kickstarter. Let's see if I have it ready on here. If I do the reveal. Yes, is Red Collar, which, I mean, we're going to talk about that. I love the title right off the bat. That is a badass drawing right there. What's the date? When's this coming out?
Tomorrow
evening, I think.
Yep.
You heard it here first. You want something to do on Friday night? This is it. Red Collar, written, I believe, by Derek and Tim, and arted by, I love that word, arted by Kenneth.
Arted.
So let's talk a little bit. First of all, let's find out about you before we jump into the comic here. What was the moment, and this is a tough off-the-cuff question, unless you just have it immediately. Maybe you know it. What was the moment you became a comic fan? What was the thing that just, this is it? Timmy?
Well, for me, I can't lie. I didn't grow up with comics. I only had Batman animated series. I grew up in a very humble beginning, so we didn't have money for comic books.
Hmm.
So I'll be honest, my inception was Batman the animated series, but I can appreciate them
Ooh,
now. We've been supporting campaigns that are out on Kickstarter that are fellow comic book writers or comic projects. But honestly, I'm not in the world. I'm new to it, so I'm enjoying it as I go.
very cool. And actually, my buddy and the artist, the second other half of the poems, James Lyons, is sort of the same situation. He didn't grow up with comics, and he discovered them when he got his script of mine. There were things like he loved heavy metal magazine and Epic growing up, but we're talking one day. And he's like, you know how it is when you're young. I didn't really have time for comics. It was all sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I'm like, well, hell, you're a lot cooler than I am. I was
I'm
reading
gonna
comics.
use that next time.
Hey, that's what you need to tell people from now on.
Yeah.
Derek, what about you?
Yeah, so sort of like Timmy, I have a true appreciation now that we got into this comic game. Early on, my younger brother, was a big comic book fan, and I was a big trading card baseball fan. So I always appreciate him because he had tons of them, and I like the collectible aspect of them. But I remembered something the other day. I don't even think I told these guys. I had completely forgotten when I was like 12, maybe a little younger. A friend of mine and I started writing a comic. We started a comic company, at 10 years old, called Hammer Comics. And I was just sitting here thinking about that yesterday. Like, I can't believe I forgot all about it. Shout out to Mark Masterson. I think it was his name. I don't know. It's been about 30 years. But he was also the first person to show me Dr. Dre. So
Oh
I had,
wow!
a couple good memories come back past couple days.
So now, was Hammer at all inspired by Hammer Films, or just a word you thought was cool, or
I,
MC Hammer?
right. I think MC Hammer was the reason we ended up going with it. But I remember we had like a makeshift logo of a hammerhead shark. So it was based on that. And there was a couple of character. It was very either aqua or at least animal themed. Now that I'm remembering, like there was a character with crab or claw hands. Um, but yeah, this kid was it. Now that I'm thinking back, he was like he had software and was animating and Dr. Dre, and he was like 10 years old.
He's probably like a mogul now. You've got to reach out
Right.
to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something. Well, all right. So you've got someone to reach out to. Kenneth, that takes us over to you. What was the moment?
Oh, that was definitely Days of Future Past. That was the first comic I ever read, and it wasn't even mine. I think it was my cousin's, and so I don't actually have that comic, but that was my foray into comics, and ever since then I've been hooked, especially throughout the '90s with all the McFarlanes and the Jim Lees and all that other stuff. So always been hooked since then. Always trying to emulate some of those guys.
Days of Future Past. What a place to start.
Yeah, and that's probably the reason why Wolverine has always kind of been my favorite.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why.
Very, very
Was
cool.
that his origins?
Oh no, it's a kind of an alternate universe type of thing.
Did you follow the artist for that, Ken?
Back in the day, I probably didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
It was in the '90s where I really started getting into the artists and figuring out who they were, who was drawing it, who was writing it, and all that good stuff. So.
Days of Future Past is the writer is I just blanked on his name.
No,
Chris. It's gone.
Chris Claremont?
But yeah, I have that up there. I mean, that's an incredible story. Chandler, what's your first comic experience?
I was at Universal Studios when I was like 9, and I just rode like the Tower of Terror. And then I remember getting off, and I was like, I kind of want to read a comic book. So I went to the store, like the Universal Studios store, and got like I think a Spider-Man comic. But I remember there was a different one in there. It's not coming to mind now. But that's kind of how I got into it. But I've always been also into like anime and graphic novels too. So then I kind of pivoted to a lot of graphic novels as well.
Okay.
Like let me actually just like Madoka Magica, where there's this like little guy named Cube. And there's these girls that are like magical girls, and they like fight in this like acid trippy looking like worlds, and it's really cool. So yeah, I got into like anime. Bleach specifically was a really good one. So
Bleach is great.
yeah.
What was the connection though between the Tower of Terror and wanting a comic?
I have no idea. I've always been an interesting kid, and I think which is weird because my last name is Kid too. So now I just kind of was like, just fed into it all.
You are eternally an interesting kid. I like that.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, Red Collar. What's the pitch here? What is this?
Yeah, so it's a little bit origin story. It's a little bit about white collar crime meeting like a clinical trial. So that's why we named it Red Collar. Kind of playing off of white collar crime, but a little bit more gorish, and the results are that. But also a lot of synthwave influence. I was born in the 80s, but a lot of my siblings are 80s babies, and like they influence the type of music they listen to. So synthwave music is all I listened to when I was writing all this. So I incorporated as kind of the themes, and that's the kind of the color schemes that Ken went with. So, and he pulled that up from the page. So, I mean, we talked about kind of the themes, but I would say in a short pitch, it's a pharmaceutical drug study gone sideways, and there's like a autoimmune outbreak in the city, so there's like a conspiracy to it, and also an origin story all into one. So a splash of a little bit of something for everybody who's in this world.
Okay. Derek, where did this story come from?
So Inception was Timmy. Timmy has the original seed. That's where it came from. But it was based on the idea, and Timmy, feel free to interrupt me, but I'll try to reduce it down to what I remember us, first bouncing ideas. But the idea of kind of that cutthroat. In fact, I think we bounced around stock market before it turned into big pharma, but cutthroat going from, metaphorical to literal. And that's kind of like, I guess the most simple way to boil that down, where the idea of that plot built from what if people who were in that world of cutthroat got what was coming to them, and then built from there. And a lot of there was the one last thing I'll add is that we talked a lot early on about what if, the idea of back when HIV hit, that feeling of not knowing, but stuff's happening so fast, and like just the horror of it, and it happening to the lowest of society. And that's kind of what we ended up having, into the story. It's not like it's actual, the virus, but it's its own thing. And that's where the origins come in.
Yeah, and also I would say he was right. So we all know like how the AIDS epidemic kind of started, and it was kind of in a community that was overlooked in America. And so that's a big part of it as well. There was the head of Bear Stearns at the time, or Lehman Brothers, sorry. He actually had a clip that I found that said, "You know what I want to do with my my competition? I want to grab their heart out and eat it right in front of them." And I was like, wow, they have this guy saying it, and it was kind of a rah-rah moment for him at a conference that he was holding for his employees. And so, I'm sure a lot of that Wall Street talk is kind of like that bravado and, by all means, by any means. So that's the inception. That's kind of the, that's the granular level of how this all kind of came about.
This is so you got some research behind this. You've got a real feeling. I'm curious, Kenneth, about the pop synth wave arts. How do you make a sound into an art style? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a page here that I am particularly taken with. Do you know? I'm going to tell you right off the bat. When I looked at these pages, I got a Nicholas Winding Refn, the guy that did Drive and Only God Forgives. and I can't think of it. I got a vibe off of this immediately that felt like his movies, and I really thought that was very, very cool. Tell me a little bit about this page, and then I want you to tell me about how you make a look out of a sound.
I think the first part is, unfortunately or fortunately, I actually grew up in the 80s. So, I have that feeling, that nostalgic feeling to kind of work with. And then, of course, the story that Tim and Derek wrote, it illustrated it almost immediately to me, kind of the world that these characters live in. And, I'm just drawing off that inspiration from them. And then, all those fantastic gritty 80s films that we used to watch back in the day and still do now. It just everything kind of flowed on paper. It wasn't like difficult I didn't have trouble figuring out how it was going to look. And this is one of those pages that is one of my favorites, just because it captures that gritty 80s essence that I remember. So
I'm so
Yeah, he
taken
did
with this
awesome.
bottom panel, where it's almost like the art style changes a little bit as he enters the doorway, like leaving the room takes him out of the sort of safety of the room into a different sort of world. I just was really taken with that.
thank you.
Yep, this is top 3 of my favorite pages.
And I
Of
must
the
say,
issue.
we've had. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Gold. No, we every time Ken would release a series of pages, it would be like a Michelangelo moment when we get on the phone, kind of like in awe of the pages.
Whoa.
So we saw what you saw, and to go back to Drive, what you said about Nick Ruffin, that's my favorite movie of all time.
He does. He
really?
does that a lot.
Yeah,
A lot.
yeah. That's
That's you nailed it, because
you nailed it.
Yeah.
And
In fact,
everyone
I don't know
can't
if we
lie, they're
mentioned this,
influenced
but
by it.
this. Sorry, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if we talked about this in the beginning, but this was a script before it was a film script before it was a comic, and so that he came up a lot, at least that movie did.
What was the process of turning this from a film script into a comic script? People think that's obvious, but it's not an obvious change.
Well,
First step, hire Ken.
Yeah, there you go. So we interviewed people for like artwork, and Derek did a lot of that side. He did a lot of the project management, in finding artists. And when we saw Ken's work, it was a slam dunk. So like you guys see it pop off the page, we saw the same thing. Everyone knows it. It's kind of like a Hall of Famer. You know it when you see it. And so that's what we think about Ken's work. And he really was able to bring our script to life. And we're grateful for getting to this moment. He has a lot to do with that. So yeah.
I appreciate you.
I love this collar. This cover.
We're getting to you.
You are. I'm infected. This has that neon synth feel. So, Kenneth, tell me a little bit about that changing, turning a sound into a look.
Man, it's like I said, and you say that the neon look and cover, and that's like the basis of almost every page that I drew for this. Is if there was neon anywhere in that particular part of the script, it's definitely going to be highlighting that particular page. So any signs and just lighting, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I really wanted to get that in between, that kind of noir look and that synth wave look. So and that's basically the way that Timmy and Derek explained it to me.
We've got our friends here from Life on Saturn Comics, Dom and Lyd.
Hey.
And Dom and Lyd are truly exceptional artists. And the comment you got here is the art is amazing. And that's very, very cool. And we got Stephen Besha, the writer on Dirty Living, which you can go to fugitivepoems.com right now and download. You can have it instantly. It's only available at subscription service on our website. And Stephen's a writer. He's making great stuff. Mark says those colors and neon are perfect synth wave. and Mark would know. He's never stopped living in the Andes. No, I'm kidding. We've got this now, which again, another beautiful page, and that vibe is so strong here.
So that page, that cover in particular, because there's two covers. This one, I was definitely going for that 80s movie poster look.
Yeah.
That was very specific.
Nailed it. Yeah.
James,
I love. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
James said this reminds me of the cover for Somewhere in Time.
Yeah,
Probably referring to the previous one, the Iron Maiden album. And that's very cool.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off, Timmy.
No, I was just saying when I saw it, I love so much of this page because the page that you'd shown before was our initial cover, and when he came out with he was like, I was toying with another alternate cover, and the palm trees, like, because I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida, and the palm trees are there and here in California, but people just don't realize how much palm trees bring the 80s back into the picture. For some reason, to me, it's symbolic, or it's part of the iconography of that era.
It's Miami Vice. I mean,
right, Miami Vice. Yeah. So that in conjunction with the building and the moon, because there is a little bit of foreshadowing with that. It's chef's kiss, man. It's beautiful. It's great.
Mark said, I'm wearing my blazer with the sleeves rolled up.
Yeah.
With the Murphy Brown shoulder pads.
Yeah. Miami Vice, Magna PI, LA Law, absolutely.
Yes.
Magna PI, yes.
Where it came from.
Even those of us who grew up in New York associate the 80s with palm trees. Even if we've never seen them. This is a really interesting page here. Tell me what I'm looking at. What is this?
So that's just one of those classic posters sticking on a brick wall for some musical event inside a club. That's what that's supposed to mean. And you'll actually see this guy inside the comic.
Are you saying you never heard of DJ Space Bus?
Dude, I am not hip at all. You have to talk to Mark Capitelli about that. So is this a character as well?
He is. He does appear in the comic. Yeah, he's I don't know if he's a resident DJ at Broken Neon, but Broken Neon Club is a staple or an anchor, one of the anchors in the story.
Okay.
Yeah, when I wrote in this guy, I was kind of influenced in one of the scenes from Romeo and Juliet, the remake, when there's a scene where that guy has all the glitter. I forgot his character name. I was so young when I saw it, but the guy with the dreads in the movie.
I think it's Mercutio.
Mercutio?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, Mercutio. Yeah. So there was a scene when they're partying in the movie, and I was like, man, that kind of speaks to me. And there was a DJ. I don't know if Derek remembers. There's a DJ at Bar Pink that shut down during the pandemic. It was our favorite dive bar here. But he was like that, and he was very flamboyant. Every time he put a record on, he would like spin it behind his back, and like he just took no crap from anyone. We'd tell him we wanted certain songs, he didn't even care. We did like a fashion show, he totally blew us off. I go, I love that kind of energy where he's like, I hear you want to hear something, but the playlist is right here. So, like, do what you want with your life, but you ain't coming behind here. So I thought it was hilarious. So, yeah, it was an actual DJ here. I don't remember his name. It could have been Space Bus for all I know. It could have been Magical Bus. But it's like a mashing of those two people. I thought it was a great little party to start. It's in the beginning pages of the script. So I felt like I got to pop. I got to do it early. You got to start doing flair and, creating the themes, creating the nightlife, creating the energy. So I feel like he kind of encapsulated that and embodied, so.
I absolutely love it. And I'm particularly taken with the Space Bus itself.
Yes.
I want more of that. I want a whole comic about that.
Takes off like a Harrier jet. Yeah.
I can hear Harrier and not hear Space Harrier because I am an 80s child and that video game ruled my life. If you don't know it, check out Space Harrier. Yeah. So now we've got another poster. It seems to be a lot of advertisements. And we've got Corn or KQRN. KQRN. Welcome to KQRN 910 Talk Radio. What do we got going on here? What's the story about this character?
So, I'll take the lead on this. So, Locust is like a midnight disc jockey. He starts his show at midnight. So this is kind of like I just wanted to create a show that I would want to listen to because Derek and I grew up off of talk radio in Florida, and so I really love the idea that you can play indie music and do some kind of grunge journalism, whether it be music or white collar crime, kind of like a Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger type person. Anyone that you could think of as an independent person in journalism today. And so they have like a little round table, and they all started there. This show goes back eons as far as the listeners are concerned, because now two of our characters are more prolific and more noteworthy, but he's been their go-to whenever they have to break a big story or a new band.
That's great. I bartended for years, and driving home at 3 and 4 in the morning, listening to AM radio, where you'd have Art Bell, who had a show where he talked about UFOs and all kinds of other wild stuff. There's something special about late night talk radio. It's just batshit stuff. That's great. I love it. I would listen to this guy. He's got a trustworthy face. And then we've got this page. Is this a page from the comic?
It is. Yep. Yeah. And that's outside of the studio, KQRN.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit?
Yeah. So I don't know if we mentioned that. The talk radio is a place where two of the main characters, one is an investigative journalist in like the financial crimes area, and then another one is like a beat writer for indie music and the music scene of the city. But they both go on this show and they're friends, so they're always going back. Like Timmy was saying, this is where they go to kind of let the city know what's going on, and a lot of it is stuff that doesn't want to be heard during the daytime.
Okay. So this is sort of a hub for them.
Yeah, it's one.
Okay, let me step on you.
Well, other than the newspaper and the magazine, this is their kind of like. Generally, people aren't taking them on mainstream shows. So, because they're talking, it's either underground music or it's like Michael Frank is the character that's trying to always take down financial criminals.
Okay. Kenneth, tell me about drawing these rats.
They were super fun to draw, and I really wanted to focus on them for some odd reason. Just because I don't normally draw rats or animals for that matter, and I had a lot of fun. But I also wanted to like kind of bring out like how, like this is obviously like a late night talk radio show that only like the underground really listens to. So I wanted to, kind of show that, this is probably some back alley somewhere that nobody really knows about. And only these three particular individuals go there.
Now, Kenneth, did you both color and letter this?
Yes, everything.
Okay, so you did with Kenneth, as I mentioned before, did Albino Satanist in Heat for me, which if you go on Kickstarter right now, look up Zona del Male, ZONADELMALE. You can get an incredible anthology done by Daniel G. Wilson, and we have a story in it, Kenneth and I. Cool, just because I want to say it over and over again, Albino Satanist in Heat.
I was forced. I just wanted to say that.
So tell me how much ritual sex and Satanism is in Red Collar.
Well,
because Kenneth loves drawing that shit.
Oh, apparently. Yeah. I love that's everyday thing for me.
We've got Jonathan Chiotis shouting out that my superhero late night DJ from childhood, the Greaseman, Nino Greasemanelli. Oh, he was a fantastic, vulgar late night shock track. Jonathan, you just made me so happy.
which station was he on? Where are you at?
We're in
Where are
New
you out
York.
of?
We're in New
Oh,
York.
really?
He was syndicated though. We listened to him on K Rock.
Okay,
But
Rock.
yeah, he would tell these really off-color jokes and tell stories about his time with the Village People. He was amazing. He wasn't with the
Oh,
Village
wow.
People, by the way. But
Oh, wow.
so
Okay, I gotta look him up.
Nino Greasemanelli, the Grease Man. Chandler, let me ask you: are you going to this club based on this poster? What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say earlier, I really like the name DJ Space Bus. I actually DJ myself, so I was like, oh, that's sick. That's super cool.
No, awesome.
Yeah,
And
What kind
I'm
of
like a
music do
fan
you
of
listen
anything
to?
pink and purple, so.
Chandler, what is the music you DJ?
Oh my gosh, it's like a mixture of psytrance and techno, so it's called psy techno.
So there you the modern equivalent of the synth.
Oh, cool.
Very
Right.
good. So let's talk tomorrow. What time is this puppy going live?
That's a good question. We're trying to be. I think we're aiming for 4 or 5 o'clock Pacific time. We're in California, so I believe it'll be by 5 o'clock Pacific time. So 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. We're just trying to engage a couple of things that we're looking to make sure we have everything right. Do a proper rundown. The company that's helping us out is Ink Studios, a guy named Kevin, and he's been great to work with. And so we want to shout him out and his company because they've been thorough with their, helping us with one of our trailers and helping us get our Kickstarter off the ground. So yeah, we're trying to button down the actual time, but it would be either 4 or 5 o'clock Pacific time. So between 7 and 8 Eastern time.
So now, folks, think about this. Tomorrow night is Friday night. It's Friday night. This is the perfect time for an electric synth neo noir. You got to go. You got to pop your collar. You got to get your best rolled up blazer sleeves on, and you got to order Red Collar Issue 1 Exposure. This sounds so cool. You guys have got me completely intrigued by this. I will be immediately pressing that order button, and rec folks out there, I recommend you do the same thing. And if you're watching this and it's after Friday the 7th, because we get a lot of people watching the show as the week goes by because they want to see if I said something terrible again. If it's past Friday the 7th, you want to pop on Kickstarter right now and get your copy. Guys, I'm really psyched about this. Derek, Tim, absolutely wonderful to meet you. If you guys will hang on for a second, just going to do a little bit of our own housekeeping. This is our latest comic. It's called River, drawn by James Lyons, the incredible James Lyons. And it is issue 1 of a 4-issue miniseries about a drug dealer who gets his hands on a time machine and tries to rework the universe in his own bloody image. There are 6 Pennsylvania cops trying to stop him, and they have no scientific background at all. They have no idea what the hell they're doing, but they're being hurtled through space and time. So this is the first issue. It is wild. It is violent. The art is unbelievable. I'm very proud that I wrote it, and James took my art and did something absolutely wild with it. Also, if you go to fugitivepoems.com right now, we have the first issue, the first of many, in the hold on, I'm going to bring it up right here, in the Dirty Living series, the first issue in our subscription service. So if you go to Fugitive Poems right now and you click, here we go. Oh, it's taking me longer than I wanted. There we go. And you go and you click on Dirty Living, the series, for $2.99. Just $2.99. That's it. $2.99 an issue. $2.99 every 3 months. Every 3 months it's a new issue. You're going to get this wild noir, bloody supernatural noir. That's also funny as hell. I recommend it highly. It's a great time. And Stephen Betcha, who's here, who said that he's looking forward to checking out Red Collar, He's the writer, and Ryan Santos is the artist. Folks, get on this. You want to read issue 1 now. Issue 2 comes out April 6th. It is crazy. Fugitive Poems has a lot of great stuff going on. We're big supporters of indie comics, and that's why when folks like Derek and Timmy and Kenneth are around and they got something cool going on, we want to showcase them too. A major mission of Fugitive Poems is to raise the flags of all great indie creators. And, getting to know Kenneth, all kidding aside about albino Satanists and heat, I just have to keep saying it. Working with Kenneth was one of the great pleasures I've had as a writer. His work is stellar, and his attention to detail and his desire to work with the writer and talk things out. When Kenneth told me that he was working on this with you guys, I said, well, we absolutely have to have you on. And you have not disappointed. I'm so excited about the look and feel and concept of this comic. Folks, you're going to want to go to Kickstarter, Red Collar, and you're going to click Notify Me on launch it tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, you're going to get in your convertible,
Tomorrow.
and you're going to order this son of a bitch immediately. So, Derek, Timmy, Kenneth, thank you so much for being on.
Can I say something really quick? 2 things.
Sure.
So we actually have some cool little rewards that we're doing. One of the ones that we are finalizing is you can become a band in our comic, because we're very music heavy with this. So we'll write you in as a band that performs at Broken Neon, the nightclub. It's one of the what do you call it? The
like a
levels
draw-in tier.
Yeah, drawing. Yeah. So that's something I thought was unique about what we're offering. You can see our page, and we do thank you so much for having us on. We know that you have a lot of people on, and you're able to fit us in. We're very grateful, and we will support your stuff. If you could share with us what you have, we will absolutely invest in your project. So we appreciate you having us on.
Well, I don't know if you're putting ads in your comic, but we could even do a swap. And that's something that I'm always up for as well. Guys, this has been Life on Saturn Comics. And that's a great idea. The band name, that's awesome. And Life on Saturn, Dom and Lid, thank you for joining with us tonight. And Claudia Girardi is here. Gerardo, forgive me, I said your name wrong. Dirty Living, Red Collar, Albino Satanists and Heat. Where are these stories taking place? Amsterdam's red light district,
Right. Yeah, I wanted that Dirty Living looks good. I hadn't seen that. I want to check that out.
Oh, it's like I said, $2.99 an issue. You instantly get it, and these guys, Ryan Santos's art is so badass, and it complements these wild ideas Stephen came up with. They have a very similar relationship to what I have with James, where I come up with some really ridiculous violence or something, and he makes it look absolutely beautiful. Or I'll come up with a quiet panel of 2 characters just talking, and he'll render it in a way that it absolutely pops. Ryan and Steven have that same relationship that James and I have. Chandler, thank you for joining us. I hope that you'll continue to join us.
Yeah, same
and this was wonderful having you here. Hey, folks, go to fugitivepoems.com. Check out Dirty Living. Check out River. Check out the Containment Breed series. We've got so much great stuff going on. And make sure, Kickstarter, Red Collar, tomorrow night. Get on it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Fugitive Poems, and we make comics.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.